Thanks also to Martha and to Erica for hosting this admirable event monthly, I'm told. That's very cool. Eugene does such a great job of turning out for and supporting its literary events. I'm really honored to be here. Thanks for the music, Scott. That was lovely. That was really exciting when the piano started to move too. So some of you know that for the last number of years I've been working on a novel, and that's occupied most of my time. But poems insinuate themselves, and you dare not turn your back on them. So I have some new poems to share. I'm going to start. I have 9. I've got 9 poems. I'm going to read a couple of bug poems, a couple of bird poems, and 3 mountain poems. But I'm going to start with a political poem, just one. I know we're all sick of it. And this is an old poem that I rewrote for the occasion. This was included in A Scripture of Crows as an environmental poem, and I've given it a little bit of an update. I've always been struck by how all of us here and everybody we know tries very hard to be a good citizen and a good environmental citizen and minimize our footprint. But you know, we're small potatoes, and there are people, big people in the world who have a large impact and aren't doing much, and that's always galled me. So I wrote a poem called "The Uber Rich Step Up." They try to do their part, and that was included in the Scripture of Crows, primarily with an environmental slant, but I've updated it with a little bit of a political twist to it. This is called the Uber Rich Step Up 2020. Jeff Bezos is lowering the thermostat 2 degrees in every one of his mansions. Rupert Murdoch has ordered a fleet of Priuses for his entire domestic staff. If he's elected president, Michael Bloomberg has vowed to take shorter showers. When all the billionaires of the Walton family changed to compact fluorescent light bulbs, they saved enough energy to buy Corpus Christi, Texas. Corporations are doing their part too. Goldman Sachs is making compost with 5 years of shredded account sheets, while British Petroleum is recycling advertising strategies from the tobacco industry. Whole mountains are being removed in the effort to bring you clean coal. Changes in the air. Citizens, we encourage you to log on, enter your password and security information, and watch as history is being fabricated on Facebook. Now the billionaires have entered the race. There's a real chance for change. So this is kind of an anti-political poem and a bird poem. How many of you are planning to kind of boycott Black Friday? I think it's a great day to not, there are some really moving. You never buy anything, Clem. You can't boycott. You can't boycott anything. No books, no buying books on Friday. This is called Black Friday. Deep in the brambles, a winter wren scavenges insects for her supper, talking to herself in buzzing little syllables. Otherwise, things are quiet in the woods. It's the day after Thanksgiving. Signs everywhere of recent feasting. Beside the river, a scrubby willow has been clipped off, the clean impression of beaver teeth embedded in the stump. At the base of the cedar, a fresh owl pellet, chock full of white bones and gray fur. And here in the center of the trail, splayed out in artful array, the scrub jay's wings sail on through a scatter of gray and blue breast feathers, right where the fox left them. I'm sure it will be a busy day at the mall. There are supposed to be bargains galore. I can believe it, because the catkins of the wild filberts are already an inch long, And now the wren flits to a branch above the trail and scolds me for undisclosed offenses. Prosperity abounds. Let's all head for the woods on Black Friday. Isn't it a tree poem? It's called Faith in Seeds. Up on the ladder, I'm cleaning the gutters, pausing occasionally to admire the flight of the samaras as they helicopter down from the maple tree. Each ripe seed is a one-winged bird fluttering to the ground, or a tiny boat with a single oar striking out for an uncertain shore. I've read that willows are migrating north, and mola mola, the ocean sunfish, usually confined to the tropics, have been found swimming in Alaskan waters. The permafrost itself may soon turn to mud and go slumping off into the sea. This old tree has unleashed a storm of seeds this autumn, as if lightening its load for a difficult trip. But we're going to tough it out right here, the maple and me. We're going to keep on squeezing out samaras and poems, even if they just stutter and twirl through the weak, late afternoon sunlight, rarely sailing far from the tree. To wit, creating art is an act of hope and resistance, and creating a kind of refugia of the soul is an important work, even as we are caught up in the political turmoil to our time, as we probably try to write political poems and be activists. We also, creating art is its own purpose, and absolutely essential for our souls. This is called Instead of an Elegy. I'm composing an elegy for the dog. When a housefly bounces off my nose and settles onto the computer screen. Aroused, I lean in close to study her. Hairy legs with suckered feet, cellophane wings, intricate red eyes, and a keen pinpoint awareness. Ever so slowly, I place my wrist against the glass just in front of her, take a deep, steadying breath, and snatch her up barehanded. Still sad, but now also briefly elated, I walk out onto the porch, open my fist, and set the astonished fly free. The dog would be proud of me. I was so tickled to still be able to do that. You know, I used to be able to do it when I was young, but I did it. I still did it. Here's a poem, a bird, kind of about birds, but more about birders. It's a happy sighting last winter. It's called a rare sighting at winter solstice. Cold rain, swirling winds, cheerless weather, unfit for wrens. Trudging along in a midwinter funk, I happen to notice, huddled under a leafless oak, 5 rain-coated birders of indeterminate age and sex. One of them points overhead, and they all lift binoculars from their chests. Though I can't spot their bird, something inside me flies up, the thrill of discovering others of my species out here in a driving rain. There is hope. There is hope for us. Well, tomorrow is my birthday. I'll be 68 tomorrow. Thank you. That's what I was fishing for. My wife and I, Cup and I, are going to go buy a sycamore tree for my birthday and plant a big sycamore tree. And we just got back from a long trip to Greece and Spain, and the sycamores, London plane trees, were the street trees in all the cities, growing under horrific circumstances. Just a little bit of plot of soil and pavement all around them, but they seem to be doing well. We thought, well, they'll love our place, so we're going to go get one. So this is a kind of birthday poem. It's called Willamette Springs Memory Care. They've thrown up a new nursing home on that brownfield site halfway to Philomath. Bland, rambling, ranch style, must be 70 rooms, with a covered drive-through entry like a motel. There used to be a wrecking yard there 20 years ago. Junk cars packed together like patients in a ward, leaking oil into the earth. I found an alternator for my old Ford pickup there once. Window boxes, dripping petunias, automatic glass entry doors that glide open when they see you. Sign says, accepting new residents. I vowed never to let myself be put away in such a place. Although, of course, I may forget. I'm going to conclude with 3 new poems about Mary's Peak. I know Eric was there hiking a couple weeks ago. Have all of you been to Mary's Peak? Yeah, almost everybody's nodding. Please do. If you have not hiked up Mary's Peak, it's a beautiful, the highest mountain in the Coast Range, a storied place, site of Native American vision quests, remarkable neighborhood landmark. This summer, the Mary's River chapter of the Sierra Club sponsored a program for writers to take field trips to Mary's Peak and write about it. And 30 people came. Ingrid came, Anita came, and it was a great day, wasn't it? There was naturalists, were telling stories about Mary's Peak as we went along, and we went to some really cool places. And then they collected some of the writing in a little chapbook, and there was a public event last month that I missed because I was out of the country, but I think Ingrid and Anita were there to present, and they included 3 of my poems in this chapbook, so I'm going to read those to you tonight. This is called Seismic Activity on Mary's Peak. Scientists determined the earthquake was centered 100 miles off the coast, 4.2 on the Richter scale, too slight to be felt on land. But I was sitting in the meadow on top of Mary's Peak that day, watching several species of wasps, flies, and bees patronizing a lily, like hard-drinking aliens at an intergalactic tavern. And I felt something. Whether it was that distant submarine temblor or a sudden disappearance of self, or just the mountain shrugging its shoulders in stoic indifference, I couldn't say. But I felt something. Do you feel that way sometimes? You heard there was an earthquake somewhere and go, oh, I'm sure I felt that. I'm sure. Probably not. But. This is called solastalgia. Some of you have encountered that word and some not. I'm just going to read the poem and then I'll unpack a little bit. Solastalgia. Only a few big wildfires in Oregon this summer, though Africa and the Amazon are ablaze. How much time remains in the gasoline crack of history? It's hard to say. Regardless, It's a beautiful late summer day on Mary's Peak. Silvery blue butterflies zigzag among bedraggled lupins, following chemical scents to nectar. Their haphazard paths bring to mind impermanence. Even in peaceable times, nothing lasts. And now, as the planet begins to blister, flowers, butterflies, and humans are all going down. The butterflies have flown. I kneel in the meadow and comb through the grass, looking for an ant or a beetle, any animate miracle, any unwitting fellow traveler. Thus far, I've always found something. How strange to be joyful in this moment while afraid and homesick at the same time, already nostalgic for things that aren't quite yet gone. You encountered that word solastalgia. It's a neologism. Nostalgia is, homesickness, missing your home. Solastalgia is an ache because your home changes so fast. So,
How do you spell it?
S-O-L-A, nostalgia, solastalgia. So finally, a last poem. I mentioned that Native Americans have done vision quests, and Westerners have too, on Mary's Peak for forever. This is called Closure. If any of the locals, and I'm talking about the ones whose people have been around since the last ice age, wanted to walk up Mary's Peak and cold camp alone, to sit, to watch, to dream, asking Creator for a song, I'd be down with closing the road for a week, or even permanently, if somebody comes back with a really good song. Thank you.